Okay, couple of podcasts back, I was talking about an expression in the context of earthworms producing soil or natural things like leaves, twigs, fruits biodegrading, and I said dust to dust and something to something. I'm old, I forget, but you probably know it is dust to dust and ashes to ashes, which means we are all temporary. We started from dust in some form and became dust after we die, and then if you get burned, you become ashes. So let's not get depressed about those things, but it's good to remember that we are not here forever, but we are producing things like plastic which will be here forever, and that's not good. So now you're asking me, so how come the plastic is also there way out in the ocean? So if you're a kid, you are already probably aware of the ocean currents and you are seeing that it's going around. So because of circular currents in the ocean, the bits of plastic have collected together, creating 5 enormous garbage patches full of plastic. So everything that falls into the ocean gets taken around, and if it is biodegradable, it gets eaten by various things, maybe even birds diving down and eating things. But if it is not biodegradable, then it can go around and the currents eventually bring you together somewhere where the currents congregate or circulate or go in a circular forms. The most famous is called the North Pacific Garbage Patch. It is currently 3 times the size of the country of France. Can you even imagine? France is sitting somewhere here, and it's a fairly big country. This is the most busy route of the trade between Asia and America, and of course there are things going through here through the Indonesian seas, and Australia is going this way as well. So lots of things are collecting here in the North Pacific Garbage Patch. You can go find lots of videos and information on that. And then there is the South Atlantic Garbage Patch, the Indian Ocean Garbage Patch, and this is split, but there is a South Pacific garbage patch as well, and a North Atlantic garbage patch. Basically there are currents called gyres that go round and round, and they produce these concentration of things that just don't disappear like plastics. Okay, most of the plastic in these patches has broken up into pieces that are so small that you can hardly see them. A microplastic is any piece smaller than this, so you can see it here, but you also get nanoplastics that basically cannot be seen at all, even by the fish. These are even more of a problem than big bits. Animals think they are food, so they eat them. The microplastics fill up their tummies, leaving no room for proper food. In fact, somebody has done a nice study to show that fish eat things based on smell, because they know organic food, how it should smell, and many of the plastic pieces in fact had been used to wrap food, your burger and so on and so forth. So maybe they smell of food and fish think it is food and they eat it, and the same thing on land is probably happening with the cows, that cows eat a lot of things based on smell. In fact, the cows even have an extra sensory extra organ to sense smell. Olfactory, is it olfactory? Yeah, you, yes, okay. So it's called the Jacob's organ on the top of the roof of their mouth, and sometimes you see cows open their mouths and go like this, like this, like this, because they are smelling something. So they are eating cardboard and plastic and so on, also because they think it's food. So there are even more. These are even more of a problem than big bits, because animals think they are food and they eat them, and their tummy gets full and they don't eat proper food. And the plastics often carry and contain nasty toxins. Sometimes they are sprayed to keep them safe, or so on and so forth. So if a small fish eats them, it can get poisoned, and so might a bigger fish that eats the small fish for dinner. In the ocean, phytoplankton photosynthesizes, zooplankton eats the phytoplankton, small fish eats the zooplankton, bigger fish eat the small fish, and big fish eat the smaller fish and so on. So there is a chain of predators. So a fish that eats small fish for dinner is concentrating the plastic because it's eating many fish with small concentrations of plastic and is making it into a big concentration. If you're old enough, you probably know that that is called bioamplification. Biology tends to collect things and amplify the plastic or the poison, sometimes mercury and so on and so forth. And voila, you have plastic coming up all the way into the food chain to what you eat. So here you are happily eating some fish like a tuna or a salmon. Salmon has been eating smaller fish and smaller fish has been eating small fish. So some scientists think there will soon be more plastic than fish in the sea. Of course, we have to be careful in saying such things because there are a lot of fish, and we are also realizing we are putting too many plastics in the sea and we are trying to clean them up. But I don't want animals to get hurt, Aja, and I don't want our planet to fill up with plastic. You get very, very nasty looking images on the web if you search for plastic in the ocean. Go for free images from NASA or European Space Agency or the National Geographic, which is not free but it's with subscription, and they are not selling it. So to come to the end of the story, here you are thinking, what can I do? I love dolphins, I love the ocean, I also like plastic, it's very useful. My bat is in plastic, my ball is in plastic, my books sometimes cover the bag I have, the hat I have, the shoes, the laces, there is plastic everywhere. But I want to also save the planet. So here are landfills, trucks and truckloads of waste that is generated at home, including your home, is being brought somewhere and is being dumped and is full of combs and bottles and styrofoam and plastic fork, which may be sold to you as biodegradable biological plastic, but actually they may have covered it with, it may be originally biodegradable, but to make it not melt in water you spray something onto it and then it becomes not biodegradable. So the big bottles of cold drinks and your coffee cup and lots of other junk piling up looks disgusting, but in many countries kids go into it and collect things they can recycle, like the bottles and so on, because they make a living on it. So it's a wretched life for them, and here is a big pile again. So we will all need to try to reduce how much plastic we use every day. The less we use, the less we can clean, less we have to clean up. So here is something. People make nearly 330 million tons of plastic each year, and this number keeps growing. Around half of it is only used once and then thrown away. They are called single-use plastics, and there are many countries and towns and villages which are banning, especially touristic places, say do not bring single-use plastics, you cannot even buy it here and so on. But people are still careless, and here you are feeling very excited about doing about something about this plastic menace, plastic pollution, and you are saying reduce, reuse, recycle, waste, and don't buy single-use plastic if you can help it. But sometimes difficult things happen. When COVID came, everybody was stuck at home, restaurants were closed and people had to work from home, and you had to order a lot of things online, and guess what, even food ordered online and everything else always comes in plastic wrapping. So you just increased plastic consumption a lot because you are dealing with the pandemic COVID, right? So there are times when you cannot help it, and there are times when you don't even know that you are using a lot of plastic. The people who make stuff for us need to think carefully about what they do with plastic, the companies that make it. You are a little child, you cannot know all that. Your parents should know, and they will know, and what they do, you can ask them about it. Creating things that we all will be throwing away in minutes but stay in the environment forever is just not right for the planet, not right for us, not right for the birds and the fish and the turtles and the tortoises and so on and so forth. So lots of plastic things are meant to be reused over and over again. Let's make sure we do, but also be careful that the plastic you are using is designed to be recycled, because otherwise it can leach nasty materials into your water that you are not supposed to drink. It can make you sick. So buy a plastic that is certified to be reused as a water bottle or milk bottle or whatever else. So here you are happily eating some food, carrying your lunch with your sandwich and your apple, and if we have finished using a plastic thing, perhaps we can pass it on to someone else, like your little brother or little sister. Once you grow up and you don't need the lunchbox anymore, you give it to your little brother or sister, and if you don't have anybody younger than you, you give it to the somebody who may be poorer than you and cannot buy these things. And free baby toys, please take. So give away the baby toys that you are done with to some other babies to play with. So reuse, recycle, and when plastic stuff has been reused, lots of times it should be recycled, so it can be turned into new plastic things, melted and recycled, not just thrown away. But there are lots of details that you don't understand. This sign you have seen many places, including on the garbage can that may be sitting outside on the curb or in your backyard before it's put out to be picked up. So from nurdles to all the things made of plastic to recycling and melting and reusing, you cannot always control it, because sometimes it's full of chemicals. You cannot just melt it and reuse it unless you clean it, and then it becomes too expensive. So basically we have a serious plastic problem, but plastic can only be recycled a few times before it stops being useful, and not all plastic can be recycled. So you have to think about what is recyclable. Again, I split the page, so you have to let's do that in a careful way. So environmentalists are teaching people about the problem because everyone needs to help to fix this plastic problem, and scientists are coming up with clever ideas too, experimenting with special bugs which might help plastics biodegrade, and finding new materials for us to use. So you have to wait and see and be careful. So here perhaps a giant floating net which will collect all the garbage from the ocean. So plastics collected here, and engineers are looking at ways to clean up clear up the plastic mess we have created. A solar powered wheel to collect the plastic has been tried in the ocean, that happily keeps going around in the ocean, powered by the solar power, and keeps picking up garbage like we use wheels to pick up water, for example. Same thing can here. Or a boat that eats plastic, which means it's basically sweeping up water and separating the plastic and bringing it somewhere to recycle and so on, and or safely dispose it off somewhere. Or a sea bin where you have a floating trash can which somehow collects the trash, and then you can go and pick it up after some time. So you do all the calculations and see how much plastic is being produced, how much is reused, and how much is just thrown away unsafely. So it'll take each and every person working together to stop the planet from filling up with plastic. It's a big job, but I reckon we can do it. We are 7-8 billion of us now, 8 billion, and if each child, woman, man and boy does it, then we can do it. So let's say thanks for listening, like the author says, and I'm saying because I'm reading the book for you and adding some details. And let's make the planet smile, because we have been good people and cleaned up all the plastic and made the the planet free of plastic. How can you help? There are loads of ways to help solve the plastic problem. You could get creative and reuse the plastic you already own. Use bottle to water plants, make a little sprinkler out of it. Plastic bottle is a mini greenhouse as well, so you can happily grow plants in it. And you can make a shaker from the tub, and you have pen pot made from the tub as well. Plastic toys make great plain paint palettes. Ask your family to replace anything made from made from or packaged in plastic with more eco-friendly options. Maybe your parents are not being very careful, but when their precious child like you tells them, they may say, yes, let's do better. Grab some gloves and take part in a cleanup near you, whether it's on a beach, in a park, or on the street. You could do it 2 minutes or 20 minutes. Use the 5-minute rule. You do it every day for 5 minutes. You will see progress very quickly. You'll clear up your neighborhood in no time, and other kids seeing you will follow your example as well. Ask a grown-up to visit this website here, beachnet beachclean.net beachclean.net for some tips on how to help with the problem. Okay, so we'll use this glossary. Let me stop because I'm getting a phone call. Let me pause. It's a marketing call, a spam, and unfortunately I didn't know, so I took it. So let's wrap this up with a glossary, as they say in America. Some keywords that we need to remember. Bakelite, the first human-made plastic named after Leo Baekeland. After his name, it was called Bakelite because it's very light. The guy who started the plastic revolution that has become a plastic pollution menace. Now microplastic, small barely visible pieces of plastic that pollute the environment. And nylon, a type of plastic often used for making clothes, ropes, and brush bristles, the toothbrush you use. Very useful for many things, but unfortunately we make a mess with everything that's useful. This podcast is a little long, but this whole section is just finished in 4 podcasts, and it's very useful information about the plastic, not directly related to climate change, but still very useful, and you should learn these things and be aware and look around everywhere for plastic. Okay, we'll meet you in the next section. Kids, bye bye.